Today's hot topic is World Cup centric, so it is a great time to announce that Morning Kickaround's World Cup coverage is brought to you now by Oakland County FC, celebrating 10 years of summer soccer in Southeast Michigan in 2026. Visit Oakland County FC online for more as we build to an exciting season ahead. Welcome aboard to our guest, Travel Football Fan. You can find him online giving the most details about World Cup tickets, travel, and the politics surrounding this huge tournament landing in our land in 2026. Good morning. Thank you for joining us here in the new year.
Good morning, gentlemen. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. I mean, it's now the date says 2026, so we're officially in a World Cup year. So
finally,
we've obviously been building to the year, and we're building to the tournament, and your area of expertise is tickets and travel and everything around the tournament. So with the calendar turning over, tell us how you feel about where we're at right now.
Oh my God, I feel so conflicted. Obviously, half of me is like, yes, we're here. You know, in 160 days, I will be in Mexico, hopefully with tickets to 2 of the Colombia games there. And I'm going to be with my daughter and my wife, and it's just going to be a whole cultural experience. It's going to be beautiful. The other half is anyone going to come? Because realistically, we saw 2025 be a record year for the United States. Every single month, lower and lower incoming tourists coming to the United States. And it cannot possibly be that all those millions of tourists are waiting to come in the summer of 2026. So there's that. Obviously, the politics of it has not gotten any better. If anything, it might be getting worse. And so there's just this conflicting set of emotions that, don't get me wrong, I did feel that in Qatar, but it's different when you're going somewhere abroad and you're like, okay, I understand these are going to be the things that are going to potentially happen. And other things is when it's happening at home. And I think that's where some of that sadness comes in.
So right now, if for folks, I know like you kind of laid the groundwork there that, you know, international travel is a little bit odd right now. But for someone based in the United States that still has interest in buying a ticket, kind of what's the state of play for ticket purchasing now?
Yeah, so right now we're in the middle of phase 3. So everyone is applying for tickets. No one's buying tickets right now. We're going through these applications and whatnot, and it's just really, really complicated. But this one's pretty straightforward. You apply for what you can pay for, and I know a lot of people are like, what gives me the best chance? Well, the best chance for your application to be accepted is to apply for all Category 1 tickets, because FIFA will be happy to charge your credit card for all Category 1 tickets. If you go on my website, I do have a link showing all of the stadium apps. All of the stadiums, the majority of the tickets are Category 1 tickets, followed by Category 2, followed by Category 3. It literally is, and I did this on a live stream last night. I don't know if you can see it, but they inverse the pyramid, okay? They completely inverse the ticket availability from Category 1 being the most to Category 3 being the least. So if you're really looking to have the most success in your application, you're going to have to pay. So in effect, we have converted the pay-to-play system that is unfortunately so endemic in U.S. soccer to ticket purchases. So that's where fans are at. I know there's been a lot of chatter about, going through the resale market. My biggest hesitation with that, and I still recommend folks not to go through it right now, is verification of that purchase, because right now no one has an actual digital or physical or no physical tickets, but no digital tickets aren't in anyone's possession right now. They have a receipt to a ticket. And so the challenge there is, can you get verification from that person you're buying from in the secondary markets that they actually did buy something, and not, oh, hold on a second, let me go ahead and get lucky through my application, and then I'll sell you that ticket. So that's where we're at when it comes to tickets. Not kind of about the price, of course, but I'm sure we can talk about the price.
Well, okay, so obviously that's been the topic is not the availability, like you said, the inverted pyramid of the categories of tickets. But as Jay Hunt says here, FIFA did say they have received the most requests ever. Take that how you want. And just a couple days ago, Gianni Infantino was defending the ticket prices, saying,
"Oh, he was mad at the peasants." That's how I described it.
Okay, yeah. Well, explain your feelings around what Johnny is saying, because again, if this is going to be the way that they cover themselves, like, oh yeah, you think the prices are tight? Doesn't matter. We've got millions of people who want to buy tickets. Yeah.
So part of that angle is very corporate-y, right? But I think the one that people are missing a lot is the nonprofit angle. Without FIFA, soccer would not exist around the world. Without FIFA, how can we fund these projects around the world? We don't need you to do that. Or rather, you don't need to charge the American sports fan hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for, look, no disrespect to Cape Verde versus Saudi Arabia, but I'm not paying $400 for that game. I'll gladly pay $40, $80, $100 because these are new teams to me, right? And this idea that all of a sudden FIFA wants to pull out that they're a nonprofit card. Well, how much does that Temu Peace Prize cost you to make? How much does it cost for FIFA to fly Gianni all around the world? And, he's flying in his private jet. How much are all of these expenses eating away at the nonprofit's finances, right? I know this because I've worked in the nonprofit industry over a decade in my career. So, and that's the first thing they teach you is that you got to balance the books. Well, you can't have it both ways, FIFA. You can't be on the one hand saying, oh, this is supply and demand, which is not. They fix the prices. Oh, this is how much the cost of running the sport is. And then on the other hand, say, think of the children. Like, no, you can't have it that way. You got to, if you're going to be a nonprofit, you got to act like a nonprofit. And that means, Gianni, you probably shouldn't be speaking and being negative towards the American sports consumer from Dubai.
From Dubai, exactly. Yeah,
he
from
wasn't
Dubai.
From PC. He could have driven by our house and have some coffee at least. Wasn't from Miami. We could have gone down to have a cafecito. It wasn't even from the U.S. It was from Dubai. So seems very much like a man in a high horse type of
at the same event, the same period when FIFA announces that they have some sort of agreement with Dubai over the FIFA best or the 11 or whatever they're doing. We're now sponsored by petrodollars to highlight the bets of football. What are we doing here?
Exactly. So I think that's what folks. I don't think they're missing it. I think that now we're fully understanding again the power that FIFA does have. I mean, this is such a power flex that you can have the president basically tell its consumer base, stop complaining, right? You peasants, like, of course you're still gonna go. But I think the main thing is when I know that comment said 150 million tickets were requested. Yeah, but how many of them are for just Portugal, Colombia, and Miami? Let's be completely honest. If FIFA was to release a list of all 104 games and say these are the top 10, we probably will see the bottom 30, 40 games not being requested at all, probably, right? Or very few numbers. So that's not obviously conducive to FIFA's numbers and to its promotion. They're really trying to get the FOMO out of us that, oh my God, 150 million tickets. Oh my God, there's not going to be any left. Yeah, but again, how many is that for Portugal, Colombia? And that's funny too, right? It's not even Argentina that's driving this. It's Portugal, Colombia.
Not every single game has the same level of interest for sure. I've seen in your coverage, you've talked a lot about like the public transport in the various different cities and who's prepared and who's not. Who would you say, which city in the United States or really any of these venues seems to be the most prepared? And then on the other side, who's the most ill prepared to host?
Yeah. So Kansas City did release their plans for the public transit for the World Cup. So like, if I know that was kind of one of the major cities that fans did have concerns with because Arrowhead is pretty much like nowhere near the city center, but they have released their plans. You can see them on their Instagram page. I would say Seattle's another city where it already had the geographic advantage of Lumen Field being in the downtown area. Their light rail is connected to the airport and to other parts of the city, so they did have that advantage. As much as people like to criticize the New York, New Jersey area's public transit, even then, I would still say it's a pretty solid transportation system because it exists and it's big. So if there's a delay in one end, you could probably still hop on another train and get to the other side. So I would say those three cities are probably the most ready. I know Dallas said they're going to release their public transportation plan in March, which I know is another city that fans are very concerned about because it's in Arlington, not in Dallas. Unfortunately, with all love to my hometown of Miami, they are unfortunately the most unprepared. They have not released a public transportation plan. The city's choked in traffic, and if their plan is just release the Ubers, into what streets? And I've covered this almost like ad nauseum in my socials, but there's just really doesn't seem to be an interest by the Miami World Cup host committee to push out a plan, nor by the political leadership. And this is a symptom of over 20 years of ignoring public transportation requests from the public. This World Cup could have been a golden opportunity to leave a legacy of public transportation and improve lives in the city. And instead, we're just treating it like any other party on the weekend. Come through, let's have a good time. And if you somehow get home, cool. It's just so unfortunate that we're missing these golden opportunities to improve the local community.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, all of this stuff is what people are going to be thinking about as the calendar turns over and they start looking. And again, you've had to be sort of in the mix, applying for tickets. You've had to make these plans far out, but there's so many unknowns about this. We haven't touched on lodging, on hotels, and all of that yet. Travel football fans. So give us, because the last time we were talking, I mean, obviously, again, supply and demand. If these hotels believe there's going to be a bunch of people coming, they're going to jack up their prices.
Oh, and they did. I mean, to give you a personal example, so for my plans for Mexico City and Guadalajara, I was very fortunate that we had our hotel points lined up. So instead of paying, I think, over $10,000 for lodging in Guadalajara, we paid it in points, and we got probably one of the best points to dollars redemption that we've ever gotten in our 6-7 years of travel as a couple. And then for Mexico City, understanding how to buy points in order to redeem them instead of paying for the full price of lodging, I pretty much saved 50% off on my lodging for the 5 nights in Mexico City. So my understanding of how to use travel points of miles to help me save money there really, really came through. Unfortunately, I'm not being able to have the same luck with my flights. I think I'm going to just go ahead, bite the bullet this weekend and just pay for the flights. Because they're not allowing me, and I think for a lot of folks, they're having the same experience of using their air miles to book their flights. And look, they are kind of doing this on purpose. Actually, they are doing this on purpose. And what the problem with increasing these prices almost kind of infinitely is that when you combine that with the lack of international tourists coming in, you're only creating a self-destruct mode for the American tourism economy, because you're going to increase the prices on lodging, on flights, on car rentals, on everything tourism, to the point where fans, even within the U.S., which within our own economy, we could, in theory, make this a economically successful World Cup. But if you're going to increase it so much that fans in Philadelphia could have gone to Kansas City, they'd be like, no, I'm just going to stay in Philadelphia. Same thing, Miami, Seattle, wherever you may be, you're not going to encourage travel. And so at some point, this whole Infantino, it's 104 Super Bowls, these hotels and airlines got to snap out of it and realize, no, it's not 104 Super Bowls. There's probably like about 90 soccer games happening, maybe 20 Super Bowls, like Portugal, Colombia. Fine. But for every Portugal, Colombia, you could probably name 10 games out of that calendar that go nowhere near the marquee nature of that game.
You're definitely right about that. I mean, it makes me a little bit excited thinking about 20 Super Bowls. That's just fun to think about in general.
Yeah.
But we talked, Jason and I, a week or so ago about the official FIFA watch parties. And there was a note that there was like some ticketing going on for the one in New York area. Less clear, like maybe registration for some other locations. Do you have any news, or has there been any exciting updates about watch parties, official or otherwise?
Yeah, so I think the main part with that New York, New Jersey, it really surprised everybody with the whole $10 early bird, and I think that's also very concerning. That this is an early bird price. Like, wait a minute, how much are you going to charge later? And I really do believe that they broke a cardinal social contract with soccer fans. It's not the fact that it's $10. I'm pretty sure most of us can afford $10. And even then, that could be a very privileged statement to make. It's the fact that these fan festivals were free, have always been free. And they were always there as a culture generator, as a place, a third place, a gathering space for fans to be able to come together and just enjoy the game if they could not get tickets to the stadium. And now you want to charge that too. Some people are saying, oh, it's to prevent homeless people from getting in, which is like the wildest thing to be worrying about during a World Cup. Like, everyone should be able to watch the footy. Oh, it's for security reasons with mass shootings. And it's like, well, okay. I mean, that is the one big thing in our society. Yeah, I mean, you're telling me they did not pass this like $600 million security bill. I think in 2025, middle 2025, they're going to have plenty of money for security. Like, they do not need to charge an extra $10 to ensure my safety. That just seems kind of very odd to say. It's just, they broke that rule. And so, interestingly enough, Kansas City, they came out and said, no, our fan festival was free. Miami said that their fan festival was free. And some of at least the Mexico and Canada fan festivals are free. So there's just this sense of like, the fans are just absolutely, I think, at their tipping point of, can you just stop charging us for everything? Like, I joked with the Cooligans last month that they might be variable pricing hot dogs at this point. Like, it's just the pricing that the squeezing of the juice that they want to make on us here in the United States is so bad that we have no one to protect us from it. And I have began to criticize a lot U.S. soccer for this too, because I mean, what do you mean you're going to let FIFA just come in and charge us all these insane prices? Where are you guys?
Does anyone feel that the U.S. Federation is taking steps to safeguard the American soccer fan? That's a great point, because I don't think that's even come up as a topic of conversation, what they're doing. And I got to say, my stomach turned a little bit thinking about squeezing the juice out of hot dogs, regardless of the price.
I'm a lemonade, perhaps, but yeah, I mean, they might be putting, those hot dogs like charge $1, not even $1 during the group stage, and then for the finals, gonna be a whole different price. I mean, they're doing this with parking, right? So yeah,
I guess not that it matters too much. I mean, the upshot is this is what FIFA's doing, but it feels like this is Gianni Infantino's pet project is to just squeeze world football for as much as it's worth, and to have absolutely no shame in who you partner with, where you take your money from, all of those things, cozying up to whoever, right?
Yeah.
and I just, historically speaking, you go back to the FIFA presidential election that led to Gianni Infantino getting the job, and there was, I mean, we're talking what, 5-6 years ago now, maybe more than that.
So, yeah.
And I remember, obviously, Sepp Blatter, we had the raid on the hotel and all the people that got, whatever, cleaned up FIFA. And then Gianni Infantino comes in. And I think if you remember that election, Sunil Gulati was still involved with U.S. soccer at the time.
Yeah.
And Sunil Gulati essentially in the room brokered the deal that allowed Gianni Infantino to become FIFA president. Now, he was not the U.S. choice at the time.
Yeah.
I can't remember who the preferred candidate was, but once the ballot started coming in, it was between Johnny and I'm trying to remember I think
it was Morocco, if I'm not mistaken.
One of the there was
one of the Global South candidates, probably
somebody who I guess the United States preferred not to have, U.S. soccer preferred not to have in the job. A lot of people didn't want to have in the job. So I'm not saying it's Sunil Gulati's fault. I'm not saying it's U.S. soccer's fault. But it's just indicative of the poisonous nature of all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and then of course, when you already set the precedent for Russia, Qatar, right? Everyone thought, all those years ago, oh, America will be a breath of fresh air. And it's like, no, our unfortunate, end stage capitalism vibes took over. And then you add Trump to the mix. Again, the draw ceremony was just an epic showcase of just cringe. I was doing a live stream, to provide an alternate viewing experience for my followers. And even they were in the comments like, this is cringe, from the Kevin Hart short jokes to the Temu Priest prize that I refuse to call it for what they want to call it. All those things were so cringe. But again, they kind of go indicative to what you're saying, Jason, where it's like this organization, FIFA, has just gone so off the rails with who they want to make the relationships with, even so much so that I think it's been coming out more that the FBI is no longer investigating some corruption cases that FIFA was involved in. So it's like, did we just make a trade in front of everyone's eyes? A little trophy for no investigations. It's just we're back to square one.
By the way,
so many people are basically saying, "Hey, Sepp Blatter, can you come back?" Because we're basically at square one. This was not necessary to bring Infantino
in terms of timeline. It's February 2016, so it's 10 years since Gianni Infantino became FIFA president.
We might as well be back at 2016 for that matter.
Yeah. And look, and I've said this before. I know we got to let you go, but I've said this before. The thing about the Sepp Blatter era was that there were paper bags full of cash being passed around, and we had Warner and all of Jack Warner and all these people hands in the pot stealing the money. But it was it was all kind of like, we're gonna do it hush hush.
Yeah,
we're and now everything is just so out in the grift is so visible.
NFTs, the ticket, the parking prices, it's so blatantly
at least
open.
Pretend that you don't want to just be criminals, right? At least pretend. Give us something that we can have some. We can rationalize. It's all hush hush. They might be stealing, but that's the criminal element. Now it's like no. You're just flat out putting your hand straight in my pocket and yanking out all my money and saying, "Hey, you're welcome." You're welcome.
OG version versus the new reality. It's just like, I don't know which way you want us to, to do all the criminal enterprise. I think at the end of the day, what fans have to realize is this. Look, I am one of the crazy fans. I am gonna spend my money, and on the flights, on the tickets. Hopefully, if FIFA still wants to accept my application, I will be submitting it in a couple of days. Hopefully, I'll get to see Colombia and Mexico, and I'll put my money in Mexico, and that's that. And we'll see how this tournament pans out. I think what is important for us overall to understand is, look at the times we're going through, right? As a whole, as a society, I know it's just soccer and we want to just treat it as soccer. Trust me, I would love to just treat it as 104 soccer games. I would love to. But the advocate in me says, the person that studied history says, all these things say, look, this World Cup is unfortunately rubbing up with the 1978 Argentina World Cup, with just how, just some of the policies that this administration is taking out towards not only against fans, but against its own people. We're just going to be going through a very weird World Cup. Having said that, Colombia, please, I want a semifinal run para Colombia, so in that way my heart could just feel like we did it. And if we could get to the final and win that trophy, please, I think that would be amazing to do. So this is, again, the conflict that I will live for the next 160-some days. I want Colombia to do its best. And then, oh my God, all the atrocities that are happening regarding this World Cup.
Thank you for bringing us on that note. It's the mental backflips and the contortionism we have to do mentally for our soccer fandom. But thank you for ending on a positive note.
No,
thinking about your Colombia team in those final stages is, that's the light we got to hold out to as we work towards this odd summer. No doubt that will be ahead of us. Thank you. It's definitely a multifaceted topic, and thank you for breaking it down with us. All in the viewership, check out Travel Football Fan across all social medias. What would you say is your number one home base?
Right now, it's actually Instagram. It's actually taken over over TikTok, but please feel free to follow me on all other socials. Again, if you need help, advice with your travel plans, you can book a consultation with me on my website. But really, just follow me everywhere there. And again, it's only 160-something days, so like it's go time. we have to have everything booked and ready to go, because by the time the World Cup comes around, I don't even know how I'm gonna do content there at that point. I might just shell up and just be like, nope, I'm just gonna watch the games. I can't help everybody.
Yeah.
Once it starts, you will hopefully no longer have to be a travel agent. But thank you so much for joining us. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you so much, Travel Football Fan, giving us an update on all things World Cup 2026 as they stand here now.